Hello, it's Levi with Henley's Happy Trails. We recently got a question on our website, which was what do we use to stop our hose from freezing in cold temperatures. My parents are going to be staying in a cold location, so they just bought all of the stuff in order to wrap their hose with heat tape and that sort of thing. So I'm going to videotape that process since it's the exact same one we use, and then I'll talk a little bit about it. You do have a lot of options on heating your hose. You can buy hoses that are that have the heating element built into them that you can plug into. Those cost around $100, or you can use insulation and heat tape, which is what we do. So that's all. So when wrapping the hose, you want a couple of things. The shortest hose that will fit. The shortest hose that will fit, because the more hose you have, the more potential you have for exposing it to the cold. These cost about $7 at Walmart for a 10-foot hose, if you can get one that short. My dad got 30 feet of heat tape, which looks like this at Lowe's. It's about $38 for 30 feet. If you don't need that much, obviously if you have a 10-foot hose, you don't need that much. You do want a little bit more than 10 feet. They have a 12-foot hose for $27. So on the cheaper end, you can technically wrap this hose for about 40 bucks, which is half the price of a already heated hose. 30. So together, these are still about $45. As a quick added tip, you do something with your hoses. Screws them together. I've never seen that before, but it kind of makes sense. If you screw your hose together, it can't get bugs or water in your compartment. Okay, step number one that we normally do is get the hose out, hook it up, and make sure it's not leaking.
Unravel it.
Next step, unravel your heat tape. And we're using electrical tape to attach it to the hose. I'd put it a wrap around there. That'll freeze.
Yeah, that's true, huh?
And you want to make sure you cover all metal surfaces. Usually I do a wrap every foot, and make sure that the heat tape isn't crossing itself, because that'll cause a pretty hot spot. And on the instructions for plumbing pipe, it says to run the heat tape in a straight line. Obviously, most RVers wrap it. The tighter you wrap it, the hotter the hose is going to get. In other words, the more times you make loops around the hose, the hotter it'll get. If it gets too hot, you can scorch the hose. So we've got the hose wrapped. We use the electrical tape. Anything that's metal, we have heat tape on, and we coiled it about every foot, all the way up to the spigot. And The park here already has heat tape on theirs, which is fortunate, so we don't have to worry about that. So the next step after the hose is wrapped is insulation to go on top of the hose. And I happen to like the self-sealing insulation. You just pull that little plastic part off once you put it around the hose, and it seals itself. Any part that doesn't stick, you can tape with electrical tape. And my dad also was trimming and got, they make 90-degree ones. If you happen to have one of these little 90-degree things on your water spout, they make those for pipes. So we got the thing on, we took the adhesive off and given it a couple of electrical tapes to make sure that it's nice and on there. Now, as far as size of insulation, we weren't sure what size to get. We ended up going with 1-inch pipe insulation, because that gives enough room to wrap it around the hose, and there's a little bit of space in there. The hose. Is that wide enough or too wide, the size of hose, or does it work good?
It could have been a little smaller, but it's still going to protect it.
No, okay.
So
if all they have is 3/4, it'll work, but 1-inch has some growing room.
yeah.
Shall I pull the adhesive off?
Yep.
Alright.
One side.
That stuff just sticks together.
I don't want this stuff to blow away.
So there we go. My dad had the addition, since he had a lot of heat tape. Once we got to the end of the hose, he actually coiled it a little bit around the sewer hose, so that way it'll kind of keep it warm and stop it from freezing over too much in the cold weather. A lot of people will put insulation on it. Sometimes people will just close off their gray tank and only open it when they're dumping and that sort of thing. So here's what it looks like all done. We got the hose wrapped all the way up. Now on this side over here, this part of the heat tape is a thermometer right there. Now typically that goes on the pipe when you're using it. I've noticed that it's too close to go on the hose most of the time, and you don't want it turning on too much because it'll heat up too much. So I've noticed that if you get a piece of the insulation, a short piece, and you just put that with some of the heat tape in there, it'll turn on more at the right temperature and it won't scorch your hose. Well, we hope that answers your question. Thank you, Dad. On how we stop our hose from freezing. I wish I could tell you more about or give you an idea on the ones that you buy that are already heated, but I've never used them. This has worked well for us, and it's slightly cheaper. If you have any more questions, you can go to henleyshappytrails.com and send us a question there at the Contact Us page. You can like us on Facebook and contact us that way, or you can like this video or leave a comment on the video below. Have a good one.